Okay, the next free software program we're going to look at is called SculptGL. So SculptGL is a free application. It has another very simple interface. So ERT, DFG, and CVB. So those 9 keys are in a row of three on your keyboard. It's very easy to use. It has a super simple interface. The size and the strength is here. Lazy you can invert with X. You can also just hold the Alt key for most of them. You have the lazy built in. You have the clay buildup, usually with the regular draw, just like we had with um, Sculpt Um, the trick here is the detail. So this is where Sculptris is awesome. And Pixelogic bought them and then crushed it, of course, kind of got it integrated into the program in a way that still is Pixelogic complex, but hopefully Maxon is fixing those things, but you still have the same new sphere, import, export, new plane, save. You saw just incredibly simple interface. So if we go in here and we import the OBJ that we just made with the with SculptGL, with just like a little quick xenomorph character, right? So you have the xenomorph-ish OBJ, and if I open that up, hopefully, new scene, this works just fine. Every once in a while, there's a time where it doesn't. Yeah, that worked fine. Cool. And I got the default material. You see it's got a really nice kind of rim light built into it. It's got a good wireframe. See, there's W as a wireframe. So this should work beautifully. And if I want to go through and I'm going to show you the same tools that are the equivalent and some of the awesome things that Sculptris can do that SculptGL cannot. So just to recap, you have the Sculptris document here provided with the notes. I collaged together a few different documents here. So here is the ERT DFG CVB interface here. You have the reduce brush, so you can actually sculpt reducing polygons or increasing them. Right here is really awesome. Has symmetry built in. You can subdivide the whole thing, of course. And yeah, let's just jump straight into it. So what I want to do here is just show you the first of the regular brush. So D is your draw brush. Any of these tools, if you hit them a second time, it does change. So sometimes you'll kind of just hit it a second time just to make sure you turned it on. In Sculptris, be careful. Don't do that willy-nilly. You want to maybe control, um, right? You want to control the different settings on the brush. So if I'm just kind of sculpting gently here with my um, Wacom tablet, and you see if I undo a symmetry, not on by default. That's messed up. All right, so let's try making sure that symmetry is turned on automatically. There we go, that's better, huh? And now if I do one side, there we go, it does the other side. So good to know. So yeah, I'm sculpting on there and see my detail is down to 0. So what's happening is it's not necessarily creating any new, or it's not creating any new geometry. So I'm just kind of drawing in the eyeball here where I want to have the eyeball in the eye socket and then hold down shift just like we did and smooth that back out again. So yeah, you could just free sculpt sketching is what this is for, right? ZBrush is so complex. Maya Blender is so complex. This is really liberating. And if I hit D again, just show you what the 2 strokes do. So I'll do 1 stroke down the forehead here with the clay, and then another one next to it, and then crisscross over. You see, it kind of evens out. If I hit D again and I go across, you see it doesn't even out. It kind of lays that strip of clay in an equal formation above, or equal addition of the clay strip. Whereas if I have it on clay, when I go across that surface, it builds up and it comes to the ridge, doesn't go up too high, and then fills in the gap in the middle and then continues across. So let me do that again. There's a much better, it evens out and kind of fills in the gaps, where if I have it off, it's going to do what we call in ZBrush the clay buildup, where it's like adding on top of whatever that, so it still has the ridge. The ridges that were going this way, right, are going to show up as I go over the top of them. You're going to see that additional clay on there. So really useful. Let me just see how many undos I can do here without crashing the program. Probably not. That's all right. I'll just hold the shift key out and just smooth this all out. it'll add some interesting details to it, right? So just gonna, but I want to avoid the lumps, so the uncontrolled marshmallowy chewed bubblegum lumps. You want to avoid those. But over to the let's go over to the flatten brush, which we just showed you in Sculptris as well. So flatten on this one is F, which is next to D, so D and then F. And I can actually go in here, and same thing though, if I hit it a second time, it's going to lock to the plane. So just be careful. So now I can go in here and I can flatten that back out again. Let me turn off the W for the wireframe. I'll go right to the edge here. Like in the other application, go to the other side and then maybe flatten that out as well. Hold down Shift and kind of smooth around the edges. Now if I hit F a second time, it's going to lock plane. So if I start here and I click, it's going to pull out to that lock to the plane, which is super useful. I wish, I don't know if it works quite that well. And sometimes Control Z is like it's not working. That's really messed up. Let's do the plane lock here again to the edge, shift to smooth a little bit. And so wherever you start, it's going to lock that to the plane that you selected on the model. So yeah, just be careful. And then if you have angle fall off, if I go over the edge here, you see it kind of smooths over the edge really nicely. If I turn that off, which is S, and I go over the edge here, I didn't really see the difference. Did you guys see the difference? Yeah. Oh well, I'll have to come back to that. So yeah, so that's a really nice kind of rounded space there, and I can use the Shift key and kind of smooth out my details after I come back to the top here and continue. So in ZBrush, we call it the polish or H polish. You're kind of polishing the surface to flatten it out. And maybe that's, two surfaces that come to a corner or edge change, or you want to keep that. And then if you don't want it to be quite so faceted though, you define all your edges like I'm doing here and then hold down Shift and just smooth it a little bit. And that'll get rid of any hard edges that you wouldn't normally see on an organic form, right? So see if I can bring that edge back out here a little bit more and smooth it out a little bit more again. And of course, if we want to really bring those edges up, we use the crease tool, right? So that is the first tool. This one's crease. It works almost the same. So again, I can create a crease, or as I like to say, carve. I'm going to carve in some detail here. So go maybe to the back of the brow here and just carve in edge like that. My detail, you'll see, is still set to 0, so I'm not adding any geometry yet. That'll make sense in a moment. Maybe come up here and slow down. And let's see, is my undo not working? Why is undo deciding to not work today? Yeah, it is free software that's no longer that. Like I said, Pixelogic bought them and then killed it. So it is what it is. Hold down Alt, the opposite. We'll see if I need to restart the program to get the undos to start working right. So you see that kind of creates a ridge. Not the best ridge there, but so if I go back into 1, or D, I'm sorry, I'm still thinking Sculptris. And now the bracket keys do work bigger and smaller, which is how Photoshop and ZBrush and Painter and every other application works. I don't know why they didn't do that. And then Shift to smooth. There we go. And she's getting a little lumpy, but you want to get rid of, you want to like smooth out, melt away the lumps as you go. Don't wait till later because it'll look bad pretty quickly. So back to E, back to my crease brush. There we go. And Alt with the crease brush if I want to bring that up some more. And Shift, and then D to draw to fill in that back clay even more if I need to. Let's see if it happens when I hit the S for soft clay, if it does. Okay, a little softer. Shift to smooth it out. Yeah, and we don't know, I don't know what the musculature, whoa. Yeah, undo is not freaking working. It does that sometimes. It's buggy as hell. Like since they put the support for it a couple years back, it's yeah, not run as well as it could. Yeah, whoops. So I gotta not do that if I know it's not gonna undo. There we go. So let's see. So that's the draw brush, right? D, regular standard draw brush. Oof. Smooth that out and maybe subdivide all. I can reduce the whole thing. I'll get rid of the quads though, so I don't want to do that just quite yet. And then flatten as your F brush, right? So I can go back in and I can kind of chisel some of these shapes in, make sure they all kind of flow into each other or have the major surface separation that you might need. Yeah, you see how strong the shift key is. If I go to smooth, I can always lower the strength down on smooth a little bit. That can help. Okay, going to the eyeball here. So the detail, if you want to add detail, so if I go to the crease tool, which is E, and let's say I want to do an eyelid here. So holding down Alt, the opposite, I can kind of bring an eyelid up and over the top right there. And again, my undo is not working, so I'm just going to have to deal with it for now. And go back against it like we did earlier. So carve right next to it, and then hold down Alt, bring it back up again. And depending how alien, non-alien this thing is, maybe it does or doesn't have a tear duct. There we go. I'm pushing in. Then go back to D to draw. A little smaller. Yeah, it looks like my tablet sensitivity is not working either. So, but that's working pretty well. And now if I want to give him teeth, horns, claws, this is the really cool part of Zebra, or I'm sorry, of Sculptris. What I can do is I can turn the detail up just a tiny bit. It's going to add detail. So wherever I press, wherever surface I press, I'm just going to add. So it turns it all into triangles. Now each quad is effectively two diagonal triangles, right? If I go in here and if I go to pull and maybe do some feelers or antenna to start off with, it works really well in pulling and adding triangles, adding geometry as I go. If I turn that up just a little bit, there it goes. You can see triangles kind of popping in there if I hold down shift. Smooth out, maybe it'll turn it up just a little bit more and pull out another. I guess they're looking more like spikes than there it goes. You see, it just adds triangles on the fly. That is Sculptris mode in ZBrush. It's so cool. So we will look at that with the ZBrush portion of these demos. There we go. We can do like a little crown, little frill. Right, shift to smooth if it gets a little jaggedy. Smooth it out a little bit. And come down around here to the gum area. This was I had originally intended to do for the gums. And I like to use the masking tool. So if I go to mask, I hold control down and I can actually make a little circle. And there it goes, adding the triangles now. Maybe make that a little bit smaller. Hold down control, it's going to mask off but also make more detail. And if I invert the mask, I hold control and I tap empty space one time. It's going to invert it and not go back to my grab brush. And if I hit it a second time, G is grab. I could do it individually. Or if I hit G a second time, you see it goes to global. It's going to do the whole thing in one shot. Hit G again. But for this one, I want to control it a little bit more and get it, at least a tiny bit of a sharper end to it. Maybe pull the sides out and kind of roll it around. Look at it in all three dimensions. It gets very two-dimensional. It locks to the screen very easily when you're doing these pull maneuvers. It's how it's designed. That's what it's supposed to do. So you got to go in here and kind of maybe pull those out. The inflate tool, yes, it works extremely well here as well. So if we need to use the inflate tool, and maybe round some of these teeth out just a little bit. Uh-oh, it's like I accidentally cleared the undo button decided to work suddenly. How about that? Isn't that special? Okay, and if I want this to be, Smooth that out so if I'm grabbing it's kind of not moving the way I want it to, unfortunately. There we go. And control tap one time, that inverts the mask. And now I can go back to my crease tool, which is E, and I can maybe push in the gum around the base of that tooth. I guess it's looking more dinosaur-ish now and less xenomorph, but whatever. I'm kind of using the crease tool to go around the base of each of these teeth and accentuate. Remember, you're trying to accentuate the change in form and shape to have better readability. There we go. So control tap one more time and go back to my grab brush. Maybe make it a little bigger and get the nice little point I want. Make these sharper. Yeah, there it goes. Now, we'll talk about, we'll get more specific with this, but usually, yeah, I would do the fangs or teeth separately, but I'm just using this as a demo piece. So this is a fun way to work. Just kind of going for it and just pulling stuff out and see what kind of shapes you end up with. Control drag, there we go. So now he's got, he looks way different, right? Let's go crazy with the spikes and tentacles on here. So I'm going to go up here at the top, zoom in, and this big form right here, I'm going to go in with the crease tool and I'm going to kind of section that off almost like a bone. Oh, it looks like I have hit X to invert it. So let me do the opposite here. Here we go. And kind of bring that kind of bony frill, make that separate piece here, and then maybe we'll do some other segmentations here in the back. Make it look a little bit more chitinous, dare I say, exoskeleton. The endomorphs, endoskeleton xenomorph. There you go. And just kind of playing with on the shapes that are already existing. And hold down the Alt key. There we go. Alrighty. Well, maybe bring this up a little more as well. Maybe bring that one up a little more. You can see how as this part of my sculptural process, and then zoom way back, hold down Shift, maybe make the bigger, and just kind of gently as I can, and always lower the strength of the smooth brush, which C is it B? Yeah, there it is B. You can lower that strength down and make it bigger. Just kind of do a light smoothing just to make sure there isn't any warps or dips or something that looks a little jaggedy on there. Okay, now I can go ahead and go back to my grab tool and we can go this bony frill here. I'm going to go a little wild with it and make sure is symmetry on? It is. Oh, it just doesn't show. Usually it shows like a little bead next to whatever. And just make it a little bit bigger. There you go. And pull, let go, pull. And it should let go on its own a little bit. So I think I was studying rhinoceros beetles recently, speaking of like chitinous endoskeleton or exoskeleton creatures. Did I say endo earlier? I'm exo. Yeah, they got really cool segmentation to study. So I can go to the frill here, get a little closer, and now I can really grab these little pieces and it should give me a nice little spike at the end. Usually it takes more than one grab. And then I can make the brush way bigger if I need to, and then I can kind of push this whole piece in and out, grab the tips here. Want to flow back a certain way. I'll go back to my smaller brush if I want to zero out or like really work on a specific piece again, like kind of like I did with the teeth. I'll come in here and hold Control, mask it out. Remember, black means you can't do anything to it. That Control, again, tap an empty space. That inverts the mask. Go to my grab brush, still on, which is G, and I'll do these one at a time. And it's like I pulled out and back ever so slightly. There we go. Maybe it's looking more almost draconic. I can't believe I knew this stopped working. It does that too. It's like a known bug. Like I should know the answer to that, but I don't know. I don't really care. I mean, I get over to ZBrush pretty quick after these few steps showing you. Okay, then click and drag an empty space one more time. There we go. So yeah, I don't know what I just made, but do a body, hold down Control, and mask off this whole underside underneath the neck here. Control tap one time, go to grab, hit it a second time to go global, and that should pull the whole thing out. There we go. That's a neck. It's going to be a neck. I might have to take a few pulls. Let's see, does E work in here? No, it does not. G. It doesn't have the E, the universal manipulator, the way that it should, the way that SculptGL does. If you're doing if you're holding down the, go back to draw, as you mask, control masks, right? Control plus Alt will take away the mask. If you want to fine tune this mask, I want to fine tune and take away some of the mask here so that I can pull that neck out easier. That's what I want to do. Go around, make sure that, yeah, it's kind of partially masked. That's why when I was pulling, it wasn't really cooperating very well. Okay, let's see if that works. Go back to grab. Yeah, and then same thing, Control Alt. Get rid of anything that looks like it's, yeah, masked funny. Shift to smooth. And just keep pulling. There we go. Let me see. It's gonna. Yeah. Global. How's the limit work on there? Is that going to? Oh, limit. I thought would make it less. It's actually helped me pull it out faster. Very cool. Okay, and then I can smooth this out some more. Looks like I didn't quite unmask it all the way. It's hard to see the masking algorithm. Like it doesn't show worth a crap on ZBrush either. It's one of the I've considered it a bug. Like they designed the masking visualizer so poorly that you can't even see. But yeah, mining over free software is kind of a bitch move. So try not to. Okay, grab, back to grab, and make it nice and big, and we can pull these out, pull forward. So I usually will want to. Oh, that's right. Undo's not working. Pull this out. Go to the center. Make sure I'm not getting that weird kind of center line thingy happening. Smooth it as I go. Control drag to clear the mask completely, and now I can go in here and pull out more of a neck. Smooth these. Maybe he's starting to collide a mask, so I maybe go to 1, maybe go to my brush tool. Whoops. I'm sorry, D. Ah, there we go. Kind of fill in the throat. Smooth it if it's crumpling, if it's collapsing in on itself. Just smooth it out a few times. Looks like I left a big crack there in the middle. Whoopsie. Smooth, 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 smooth. Brush, brush, brush. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Brush, brush, brush. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Yeah. Brush, 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 smooth again. There it goes. It still has some crisscrossing or interfolding going on there. And with the smooth brush on, I can actually crank up the strength a great deal and really smooth that out. Kind of try to keep it from doing that anymore. And that's what happens when you're doing like major lifting, when you're pulling that volume of polygons out to create a body from a neck from nothing, basically. It's pretty extraordinary that it does it at all. So you got to kind of roll with the limitations of the software. So yeah, so I'm building this up, this neck up somewhere. Probably need some major neck muscles going up into this, whatever this xenomorph kind of pod neck form is. Sure. I'm gonna make them bipedal because I want to show you how to quickly rig and animate them using Mixamo and then pull it out. So um, yeah, for the essence of time, I'm just going to make a body. So I'm gonna mask off the bottom here again. So hold down Control, mask, mask, mask. Maybe do a little more than I need this time. Tap, oops. Control tap, grab the empty space, go to my grab brush, hit it a second time to go global, pull the whole amount down, watch that center line, Control Alt, paint away so I can grab and smooth, make sure it's not, make sure it's working properly how I want it to. Yeah, see, I'm still getting a weird division line there. It's all right. Figure it out as we go. And maybe turn, yeah, there we go. Huh. That's actually creating kind of an interesting body shape for us. So Control drag an empty space to clear the tool, Shift to smooth back out again, Shift to smooth out. It goes D to draw, bring back out some abdominal forms, the thorax, bring back in the latimus, rib cage, if it has a rib cage, who knows. And again, I have clay turned on, but I turned off the soft version and I could see it kind of folding in itself still. So I'll just keep building it out and you can see the triangles crisscrossing on each other. I just smooth them out again. You can even try the flatten brush a little bit. There you go. Flatten's going to give us some more detail. That's what I wanted. I don't know why the other brush wasn't giving me detail. There we go. Flatten does. And then I can smooth that out finally. Oh, because the strength on it is higher than the other one. Cool. All right, so I should be able to finish this character off. I can use the reduce brush if it's got too many, like right here on the butt. I can do reduce brush, which is Y, and as I stroke on there a few times, you see the triangles are getting less and less. At least they should be. When there's a ton, it might take a minute. So you can also reduce selected, so reduce the whole model. And so control drag, I did clear my, there it goes, a little faster. Back to draw. Bring this back out some more, smooth it as I go. There we go. All right. Fun, right? Yeah, lumpy. What's up, lumpy? Bring out the shoulders. Gluteus, do the pelvis region, go back to my grab brush rather than the grab global, and I can kind of pull the pieces out that I want. Specifically, when I pull the arms and the legs out, I like to mask it off again first, invert the mask, and then pull to kind of make sure I get an armpit in there. Otherwise, you don't get much of an armpit. Something I've learned over the years. There we go. And now I can pull. I like to do like a relaxed pose, like have the arms going back ever so slightly. Maybe I'll keep his arms. Go back to my draw brush, Control Tab, and maybe smooth out that armpit. Control Tab and bring that back over. Yeah, and this is messy, but this is just going really quick, showing you control stroke the empty space to clear a mask. There we go, and I can still try and accentuate some of this. Maybe I'll just give him some funky anatomy just to kind of throw it and look weird. Almost like a termite type of creature. A head, imagine a termite body all of a sudden. Make it smaller, the bracket. Give him some spikes, maybe inflate it just a bit so it doesn't get too flat when you're pulling it out. It can happen. So inflate. I try not to overuse inflate because it will start to look very balloon-like, which is oftentimes not what you want. Back to the crease brush here, and we can kind of define some more detail at the joint region. And I think the strength on this might be different for different tools. Bring it back out the tricep, deltoid-ish, bicep-ish, whatever this thing is. Definitely humanoid. And so dig underneath here. Hold down Alt, bring it back up. Go to my regular draw brush. We fill in the bony protrusion for the rib cage. And add this, was it sartorius, what you call. There you go, and then the latimus muscle would really pinch against. And if we need to, we can smooth that out, mask off the arm, right? So that way, as I'm making the latimus kind of pinch against the arm, it's not crumpling it up against it. It's really lumpy. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Smooth, smooth, smooth. There we go. All right, let's give him some legs and hands. So going down here and clear any masks I might have. I think I just did. Hold down Control, mask out where I'm going to pull the legs out from. And masking again, if I needed to actually do a mask brush, it's M. There you go, and there's a detail on the mask. Then it's got X to invert. There we go, so I'm masking off sides of the leg, go up to the hip a little higher, make sure we get the butt as well. Gluteus maximus medius. Okay, that's looking okay. A control or tap an empty space. Here we go. And now I go back to my grab brush and I can go the big, huge brush and really pull this out a little at a time. There we go. So he does have a bit of a butt. Not yet. So we'll just kind of focus on this first pull at the thigh is a little harder. So I'll make it smaller. Control and Alt. I want to take away, oops. I'll take away some of that inner part and then shift to smooth. There we go. And pull that out. And I'm going to give him like little short stubby legs just so I can finish this up in a reasonable amount of time. There goes the front of the thigh, back of the thigh. Now forward some more. He's got all that head weight down there. And so Control. Go back to M for masking, and let's see if, yeah, X to invert, or actually, yeah, let's bring some of that. I'm going to leave the crotch mask. So I don't want it folding in the crotch, kind of like with the armpit. I could have done that as well. There we go. And then go back to D, and I can bring gluteus maximus medius here. And all of a sudden, a butt begins to form. The gluteus maximus goes down the back of the thighs pretty far. And as this gets lumpy, I hold shift and just kind of smooth myself back out again. Take control and drag to clear, and continue up here to the pelvic region. There we go, smooth it out. Little lumpy butt. Smooth out the front. Okay, almost done. Let's do the lower legs and the hands. So go down here again, hold down control, mask it off. You see it's nice enough to add some triangles for us. That was pretty cool. Maybe go up a little higher, sides. Control Alt to make sure we take away anything that might be up here. Shift to smooth. It's always smoothing as I go. Control tap one time. Go back to my grab tool and hit it a second time to do the global, and that'll just pull the whole thing straight down. Maybe go in a tiny bit. Accentuate where the knees are going to be. And then maybe go back a little bit. Support that giant head. Control drag. Go back in here and shift smooth and just smooth it out a little. Let me see. It keeps the little balls for the feet down there. Isn't that cool? Okay, hold down control again. Reactivate where the feet are going to be. In the back of the heel, control tap one time in empty space. And go to my grab, go out of global. So I can get my localized pull and make it about size enough to pull a nice big heel out. And then the front of the foot, let's go from the bottom up. Oh yeah, as you rotate, if you hit shift, it'll snap to front. As I rotate, I hit shift and it snaps. So from the bottom up view, I get a really good view here where the feet are at. I can kind of pull out that shape of the ball of the foot where the arch is going to be. Maybe. Yes, to have it masked off, this works really well. Whoops, this should be more front in the inside and the middle than the outside. There we go. That worked out pretty good. Go in here, go to the flatten brush again, and if I want to flatten the feet on the ground, I can hit F a second time to lock to the plane, and that should fully bring the mesh flat onto the ground. Look at that. That was super handy, and it's not perfectly flat, but it's good enough for me. Hit F again, I'll go out. I can kind of reposition that, flatten it so it's not locked on the plane anymore. But this is something like a finesse. You finesse and nuance that when you do a finished model, not for this little prototype-ish model. So control drag to clear it out. Go to my regular draw brush. We can give them some calves. Calves go up higher on the outside, a little lower on the inside. Shift to smooth. Go with a little bit smaller brush and kind of maybe accentuate. Woo. That's right, no undos. Well, that makes this a little harder to do the demo. So I better stop and restart just to get my undo brush to work. But undo should work for you though, so don't think that you should suffer without an undo. So it's strength of digital, right? Saving multiple versions and having an undo button is like, yeah, you could do that in the real world. You just make 10 versions of that. No, I don't like that undo. There we go. The inside here. Maybe give them some clawed feet at the end. That's always fun. Control Control, control, control tap one time, back to my grab brush and pull. Oops. Try and do one at a time. Pull, and make it up and down. Check all the angles as I go. Of this one, pull up and then forward and then down. Make it smaller as it goes. Here we go. So get the right angle, out and up slightly. Then go to side view, pull forward some more, and then zoom in. Oops. And get to the right angle and then pull down. And that got a little flat, that last little pull. All this stuff, so I'm just gonna, I'll play with it some more. Pull up and out, the right angle, then pull down. There we go. Maybe sometimes you want to pull a little bit at a time. This is, I think, preferable. We'll go back to the inflate brush. Swirl these parts of the talons back up again. Shift to smooth, shift to smooth. Plate, shift to smooth. Control drag to smooth, clear the mask as I'm smooth this out a little bit. Go back to the, wasn't inflating. Top, inflate the top. Maybe how it swells into the foot. It's like a knuckle there. Go back to draw. I need to maybe draw some knuckling on there. And just to avoid having to do hands, I'm just going to give them big, like, stabby blade arms or something, like something you'd see from, what are those? The xenomorphs from Star. Oh, what was that old RTS game? And then if I want to add tendons, I could just, you can make that smaller. Right, you can always go back with the crease brush as well, at the opposite. You can. There we go. And way more detailed than I planned on, but I love this stuff. It's fun. Like every time, like just doing this little demo, I have just totally blank canvas, and so I have no problem. I have no blank canvas, no blank canvas syndrome anymore. Maybe years ago, but I'm sure there's times where I did have blank canvas syndrome. Where you're staring at your workspace like, oh man, what do I make? Like for me, now I'm just my brain's overload, swimming with features, monsters, ideas, characters, stories. Science fiction, fantasy is what I prefer. Although I love real world studies too, all the scientific discoveries, animals, monsters. Got some great reference boards for dinosaurs, all the main mammalian forms like the ursine, equine, feline. Resources for all that stuff for you. I'm just dropping in a couple. There we go, just to show you how that process can work. And let's give them some clawed hands. So I'm going to go back in here and again mask the nub, the end of the form, and mask out a little bit more than I needed this time. You see it's the detail. If I zoom in, it does change the detail. With a smaller brush zoomed in, it's going to give you more detail. So it's a pretty cool interface. You just have to get used to, like, at what scale is your model to the screen, and your brush size is going to impact how much detail it adds. And you can always just use the reduce brush and just brush it back out again. So control tap one time, go to grabby, and hit grabby again for global. If I just want to do one big pull, there we go. Shift to smooth out. You can see the masking is almost never totally clean. So control and alt, because I can't see, doesn't give you a good visual feedback if it's masking or not. There we go. And yeah, how fast you move the brush matters too. Like if I'm going really fast, it's the jitter. how many times it's stamping that alpha. There is an alpha in there that you can play around with. That's maybe the next step, but there we go. Okay, let's try that again. Grabby grabby on global, and yeah, it works okay. Maybe take global off and just do the blade on here. Pulling and letting go, a little going slower, a little slower at a time. And if it's not curving in the right direction, you can always just bring it down. Although, yeah, that didn't work very well. Maybe a bigger brush. There we go. Curve it up in a little. I didn't even show you the rotate tool yet, but R does work pretty well if you want to do a nice big brush with it and go this way. That's just, but yeah, I'm just trying to keep this as simple as possible. And grab something on the bottom here. And that looks more tentacle-like and less blade-like, so I'm going to smooth, shrink it down. Maybe I will give them some kind of weird thumb to match. Smooth that out. I don't know what I just made with that. That was pretty messed up, but whatever. I just want to finish this thing really at this point. I just want to like show you the last step on there. There we go. So he's got one effed up alien-ish tentacle, whatever, hand, finger thingy. Deal with that may or may not work well with Mixamo. We're going to find out. Oh, just something so strange that the program just is like, what are you feeding me? As long as it's bipedal, right? It's got, so yeah, we clear that. So the main thing is it has a neck, a torso, two arms, two legs, two hands, 2 feet, and a head. As long as you have that, you're okay. But that's pretty good, if you're just farting around showing you the tool. Um, I'm relatively happy with it. Right now, it is at 500,000 triangles, so 520,000. That's not okay. So let's reduce the triangles on this and bring it into Mixamo and take it on to the next step.